These are the Toraja people living in Indonesia who dig up dead corpses of family members, clean them, and then dress the corpse in cultural clothing. They then help the corpse stand up while parading them through a village. See, people here often cannot afford to have a proper funeral when family members pass. As a result, the corpse is wrapped in cloth and buried at the location that they pass away. They believe that keeping them wrapped in cloth keeps their soul preserved until a proper burial is available. The corpse is then dug up when the family is able to have a proper funeral. They are literally raised from the dead. If a person dies outside of their home village, the corpse is taken from their place of death and paraded by the entire village all the way to their home to be buried again. Death. While being one of the few guarantees in life, it is an extreme and emotionally painful experience when members within a family pass away. In the tribe of Dani, located in a remote region of Papua, Indonesia, women mourn a family member's death by expressing their pain physically, the amputation of their own fingers. This symbolic practice starts by tightly tying string around their finger until it becomes numb. After being cut, to then stop the bleeding, they will burn the finger to close off the wound and create a small callus. If a woman's husband passes away, she will cut off parts of her finger to be buried with her spouse's body. Although this is a tradition that is fading out, it is still practiced among some within the tribe as a way to satisfy ancestral ghosts. They believe that fingers represent body and soul, and by cutting them off to be buried with a corpse, they will live together for eternity. Kidnapping another person is illegal. Kidnapping a woman to force her into being your future wife takes this to an even darker level. However, bride kidnapping is a large part of life in Kyrgyzstan. It is really quite simple. A man decides he is ready to marry. He then gets a group of friends to help plan out the kidnapping. They then find a girl on a street, sometimes a friend and other times a complete stranger, to be taken. She is then driven back to his home where his mother attempts to convince the woman that she should marry her son, a process that can often take days. Once, however, she agrees and stays a night, it is believed that she will stay forever. The girl's family is then told of the marriage and is offered gifts in exchange for her. Nearly half of all marriages in Kyrgyzstan are a result of bride kidnapping. While illegal, police often have no desire to intervene and allow this to continue. Up to 95% of women, whether they want to be married or not, will never turn to police as they are taught and believe that it is tradition. Sadly, many of these women who are forced into marriage often end up in unstable relationships, prostitution, divorce, and even suicide. These are the people of Phuket, Thailand, about to partake in one of the most extreme ritual traditions in the world. Participants push spears, knives, swords, umbrellas, chairs, and virtually anything that they can through their cheeks. An extremely dangerous ritual that could result in uncontrollable bleeding and horrific scars for life. They believe only a person able to withstand such unbearable pain can become soldiers of their gods. The pain endured is on behalf of all within their community. As a thanks, spectators set up food stations as offerings while participants walk by, blessing their families with prosperity. They walk up to 5 miles with these objects in their mouth. As the walk goes on, the mutilation often escalates as it almost becomes a form of competition, leading to people often cutting themselves heavily. This over 5-century-old festival, named Kanamara Matsuri, is interesting. On March 15th of every year, participants dress in pink while parading giant wooden-shaped penises through the streets of Kawasaki. It is essentially a giant penis festival. It celebrates fertility among all and also blesses regenerating crops. It has become popular among prostitutes who seek protection from STDs. Where this festival gets truly interesting is in its origins. It honors the legend of a demon who fell madly in love with a beautiful woman. The woman, however, went on to marry a different man, to which the demon was not pleased. To ensure her infertility, the demon cursed her vagina with his incredibly sharp teeth. To break the curse, the local villagers built a giant penis built of steel to trick the demon and to break the teeth, causing the demon to leave. Today, the festival has grown, and if you can imagine it, you can find it shaped as a penis. During this festival, Kanamara Matsuri. Sounds like a great fun-filled family day out. The crucifixion of Jesus Christ occurred during the 1st century Judea. The death and resurrection of Jesus is arguably the most widely celebrated holiday in modern Christianity. In the Philippines, a group of devout Catholics reenact the sacrifice of God annually in a tradition of whipping themselves heavily with chains before they themselves are hammered to a giant cross as nails are pierced into their hands and feet. Some choose to crawl on their hands and knees until bloodied. Participants believe that going through these rituals and sacrifices will lead to luck as they seek divine intervention. The pain endured is nearly unbearable, with wounds often needing weeks to heal. A price they claim is a small one to pay for the blessings that they receive. This has become tradition, attracting large crowds of spectators around the country. A strange practice in southern India, dating back an estimated 700 years, is that of throwing small infants, usually under 2 years old, off a ledge up to 50 feet high. Young couples getting married take vows that should they be blessed with a child, they will return to their temple to partake in this tradition. It takes place during the first week of December, where men in robes shake the infants while dangling them over the edge before dropping the child into a cloth. Spectators roar in excitement as they pass the child around, each giving their blessings before returning the child to their parents. This ritual is believed by parents to bring their children luck. While thought to be quite rare, both Muslims and Hindus partake in this dangerous ritual. After video surfaced in 2009, this practice sparked global outrage and was banned in 2011. However, the tradition has not stopped, and it is believed that up to 200 children are dropped every year. Possibly the harshest tradition among Muslims takes place during one of the 4 sacred months called the Morning of Muharram. The month of Muharram, translating to forbidden, is for Muslims an extremely sacred month of fasting and mourning. On the 10th day of this month, the day of Ashura sees the mourning of the death of Prophet Muhammad's grandson, Hazrat Imam Hussein, who died during battle in 680 AD in what is today Iraq. The mourning of his death is done through a horrifying ritual: brutal self-mutilation. Small razor blades are held between fingers while beating their chests. Whips with knives and small blades attached are used to beat themselves in a gruesome manner repeatedly. Others cut their foreheads using large swords. Among some Shiite Muslims, this tradition is a way of washing away their sins in what will leave streets stained of blood. This is a practice that has been passed down for centuries, and while extremely harsh, all participants do this voluntarily. An indigenous group to Japan called the Ainu people have quite a gruesome tradition when it comes to bears. While not practiced among many anymore, it has been known to still take place even today. They believe that bears are actually disguised gods that walk among humans. As such, they believe that the sacrificing of the animal will bless their souls. The way in which this is done is by finding a hibernating mother bear in a cave, slaughtering the bear and capturing her cubs. The villagers will then eat the flesh of the bear while also drinking the blood. The baby cubs are kept and raised until they reach adulthood, where they are then choked and speared to death. The skulls of all the bears are placed at the top of a spear wrapped in the skin of the bear. As the entire ordeal is rooted in deep religious beliefs, the spears are then worshipped. While around the world, funeral practices usually mean the burial of a corpse, the Yanomami do not bury their dead. The religious beliefs of this tribe forbid anyone from preserving or keeping any part of the deceased. Rather, a ceremony is held where mourning and sad songs are sang as the body is placed over fire and is burned to ash. Family members then collect the remaining ash and bones, which are crushed into powder. The powder is then later mashed together with bananas, the most common food among the Yanomami. They believe that the soul is only able to achieve full salvation if and when the body is burnt and the remains are eaten by relatives. The soul of the dead is absorbed by the living, allowing the soul to be freed. If this doesn't happen, they believe the soul would become trapped between life and death and that it could never escape. If this is not done, it is seen as a humiliating death.